Yeah, I got her cold. So this is me with my drugs. Look, because I refuse to like get any worse than what I am right now.
Want any more cooties? Okay. You pop.
You know, I walked out without cough drops too, so I may be annoying.
I have a coldies. Not a cough drop, but it's a coldies.
It's what?
It's a coldies, that zinc cough.
My coughing comes and goes.
You might want to get a water. Oh, yeah, okay.
Just pop to work.
I will call the meeting to order.
Do your.
If, Jesus, would you give us, do the roll call?
Robert Bernowski,
Present.
Peter Hernandez,
Here.
Elizabeth Martinez,
Here.
Tricia Moore,
I'm here.
Elsa Rodriguez,
Here.
all present.
And are there any comments from, any public comments for closed session items? I don't see any. I don't even see the basket at all.
Yeah.
So is there a motion to convene to closed session?
So moved.
Second. Okay, then all those in favor,
Aye.
those opposed? Okay, we will adjourn to closed session.
Set up in the kitchen.
Dinner's ready.
Yeah, so go to the kitchen. It's like, is that it?
I can shoot.
Sounds like other meetings.
No, I told you, don't you? Calm down.
Great.
I,
You gonna do that way?
I'm trying to make up my mind.
Okay, you're in the middle now.
Decisions.
Absolutely. Thank you. Is this? Yeah.
Closed session going to start at 5 p.m. And the closed session, open session for everybody at 6. You can hang out.
All exciting.
You're more than welcome to hang out.
Is that her only child? Did they see it? Oh, Lord.
one of those things where you just punching along the very way from the school until now. Some poor little kid just.
That's horrific. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. All right, thank you. Dude. Do these stay up here? What did she make for dinner? You don't know. Hey, can you check the doorstep for a box? Okay, because it said it was delivered. Okay. Okay, if you can bring it in for me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. All right, bye.
Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Roger decided he had too much homework to do.
Roger's a good kid. And smart. Maybe if I'm away, he could
Pardon?
maybe if I'm away.
Well, he has to come for his government this semester,
Uh-huh.
so they have to go to 4 public hearings.
Okay.
So then they have to stay for an hour.
Cool. Just kidding, it's fun to be here.
They're doing stuff.
It's wonderful.
It's informative,
It very much is.
so that aspect is fun.
I'm just nervous. No matter how many presentations I do, and I've, given a lot, I always get nervous before them, always.
Well, the packet's not for you. There's 2 other schools' packets right there. Not Capitol Hills.
Oh, no, we're not, just in the morning, start, it's not doing that.
Oh,
It's still a lot. Hey, guys, how are you? How are you? Yeah, you were that Cook Valley, that's awesome. Thank you. Hi, how are you? My cup.
oh, your cup. Oh, Red School.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, Susan, I left the present up there for him, I probably broke protocol. I used some stickies. You're being recorded, so it doesn't matter. Oh, was I recording before you started?
Oh, yeah, we start at 5 o'clock.
So right now, the commentary meeting was recorded?
Yes,
Everything's recorded.
everything's recorded in here.
I love it.
And it'll be on YouTube.
Once they start, I'm gone, right?
Hey, Don.
How are you?
I'm well, and you?
Good, doing good. You want to try to get together on Friday? You around Friday?
I am. But I think we're meeting with Lisa. What time frame?
It's gonna be later today.
Yeah. Yeah. that's fine. Yeah, we're meeting.
So Adrian's working the Sharks game tomorrow.
At 3:45
So they'll be having sessions.
on Friday.
Your name on Sunday?
Stu.
So
Okay.
before or after that? Perfectly before and it's Friday too.
Yeah.
Too.
This is awesome. I have a real life learning degree up there now.
Have a call. Oh, yeah. So you think we'll know?
Yeah. Well, three of them. Well, that was a file, I think.
Oh, yeah, we're just gonna
Yeah,
go look at it.
you are really nice. Well,
You still have some
it all
time.
back.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, they took out already? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she took taxes out.
Good job.
Oh, I didn't look at that. I haven't looked at that.
It's really nice going for it, you did a good job.
So there's a progression of the writings, we could tell.
Yeah, Steph did a nice job.
Maybe we're.
It's funny.
No, I
She
sorry.
said.
Oh, here, thank you. I heard.
I know, as much as I can. I do that.
Oh, was that your question? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
We won't talk about it before. Where Marcus running circles in the back playground, remember? Pushing them in the back.
Yes, it's cold in here.
We have the heater on.
Probably hooked up to somebody else, so it's-
I was looking at, we like to look at model houses. So we were looking at the ones over the Anderson and the Staff Manor, actually the legacy ones. And they're all kind of happen to school here. and they're- Yeah, so they really called it up. Nice. It's gonna be right there.
It's right across the street.
We have friends who bought there.
Oh, okay.
They're downsizing into a bigger place.
Oh, okay.
Their extended family. They're giving their kids a lift up, so their families can move in with them. So they can stay like us. Really good.
Nice.
Yes.
Save us some seats.
Yes.
Join us. Come on down. Oh, yeah.
I do know.
I turned it off.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I started my.
Yeah, the white one. Yeah.
Save money. Go ahead. You're going to put a new toy today with that new thing? It's all you. Go for it.
Worst comes to worst, I'll just go there.
Remember how I used to wear like the heels and a white shirt before?
Yeah.
How are you? It was good.
May I approach the bench, sir?
How are you, sir? How are you doing? Take it easy. So my older brother thought who's gonna be What's the growth? Communities that
Right now, now, it's time now. It's 5:08. Let's go come back
Yes. Came on as a director of schools. When did you start? Are you, did you work out in the hotel area? Oh, really?
Both like
Taught in Columbus from 98 to 2004. Yeah, I spent a few nights over there.
As a matter of fact, the last time I all the books to get them.
Because we have about 18, probably about 36. I'm not sure, I don't really understand what the common
You put a comment down there?
Oh, yeah. I think this is actually probably just in some ways Yes. So I think those kids. I mean, I will take a little bit of serious and they usually do that too. But now they're instinct. We got some of Amy reported that there's a parent who's trying to talk to some of the parents and wondering what the best is here. We just let it go and see if there's a further communication.
Chairs in the first row. Anybody sit in the first row? I guess warmed up the room.
She was she's got
Oh, yeah, give her a hard copy. You know what I mean?
That's a public comment basket,
It's on the shelf behind you, yes. Side ones and side. I'm gonna call the meeting back to order. We'll have some housekeeping duties that need to be taken care of first, and I appreciate your being patient and waiting for us. For bylaw 9324, the district may tape, film, broadcast any open board meeting where president shall announce the recording and broadcasting is being made in the direction, under the direction of the board, in the beginning, in the meeting, and is practical. The recorder and the camera shall place a plain view of each participant. It's right over there on that little thing standing in the middle of the room. So smile when you get up there. And you can view it later on if you want on YouTube. For regular board meetings, welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting. Members of the audience are invited to address the board on any topic, any subject on tonight's agenda, when that item is being addressed. To help the board conduct the meetings efficiently, the board is asked that if you wish to make a comment, the board meeting, you will complete the speaker's card and present the card to the board clerk prior to the item being discussed, and wait to be called upon to speak at the podium and state your name. Individual speakers, I'm not used to reading out loud. This is like first grade. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board with each agenda. The board will limit time input to 15 minutes per item. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the amount of time allowed for the public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of people wishing to be heard. The president shall take a poll of the speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask the additional persons to speak only if they have something to add. Speakers are advised that their speech may be open to civil liability, defamation, if you're involved with complaints against staff. Speakers in this instance are encouraged to speak with the complaint officer and superintendent about the complaint process. One more to go. I'm going to take. The public may also speak to the board on subjects. I'm sorry.
Would you like me to actually include it?
I don't know. It's a last paragraph.
I got it. The public may also speak to the board on subjects not on tonight's agenda during public comments. Speakers must complete a speaker's card and present the card to the board clerk. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to comment with the board. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 15 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. As an unagendized item, no response is required from the board or district staff, and no action can be taken. However, the board may direct staff to follow up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Now we have Mr. Wilbur, who represents Gatlin Hills and some of his students who help us with
Good evening. I would like to introduce myself. I am Elijah Huerta, the president of the Gatlin Hills Elementary School.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Katie Mendoza, and I am the vice president of Gatlin Hills Elementary School.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Shane Wilbur, and I am the Commissioner of Communications for the Gatlin Hills Elementary School. We do the morning announcements, and we would like you to join us. Please stand for the flag salute, and after that, would you please join us for the pledge?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, please raise your hand for the Gecko pledge.
I am a Gatlin Hills Gecko. I pledge to be a good citizen, excited about learning, caring to others, kind and respectful, outstanding, a successful student. Madam President, board members, Dr. Andrew and Dr. Kurtz, you can see that we've been very well represented this tonight by our Gatlin Hills student leadership. I think they represent the diversity and the strength of character that we find at our school. And tonight we've got a special award for them. First for Elijah, for leading us in our flag salute. You can meet everyone. Come on across. Katie, thank you very much. And Shane. Good, thank you. A big round of applause for our tonight we want to represent a couple of people in our community, at our school, and one of them is our super parent, Michelle Bingham. She is a super person and should have a cape. And an S on that cape, we'd have no student leadership, and we would have very little in terms of parent club without her. So Michelle, thank you so much. Gatlin Hills has some very, very special people that are working with us, multi-classified and certificated. We're going to honor a few of them tonight. First off is Ceci Rodriguez. She is without a doubt the best office manager. Ceci's involved in the community. She helped with our bond, and she's always there whenever anyone needs her. And she's someone that I'm really lucky to be a part of. When I got here, I couldn't believe I got to work with her. Next up is Linda Brown, our health clerk extraordinaire. Linda, come on up. Linda brought the concept, this is a professional office to our office, and it's something we use a lot. She also has a lot of joy and life in our office too, and she's really good with kids. Thank you so much. Next up is Julie Shaw. As an instructional aide, she's one of the best I have ever worked with. She is somebody who is completely great with kids, and she makes a difference every single day. So I have the pleasure of working with a team of teachers that are exceptional. And when I say team is the key word. As a team, as a PLC, we work together at a high level to make sure that every student gets the best that we have per teacher, per grade level, per place. And one of the nice things about our PLC is in the last 3 years, we worked hard to leave adult-centered issues and excuses outside of our community to focus on each student's learning. And our team has done an exceptional job of doing that. And I'd like to honor some of the leaders that are here that are a part of that. But before I do, Gatlin Hills has done some amazing work lately in owning their data and really changing and looking at curriculum and making sure, especially with math, that we've taken a look at the new tests, they've looked at their standards, and they're changing their lesson plans in the middle of the year to meet the needs of our students and benchmarks. I'm really proud of them. So we have some of our leaders here tonight. From our kindergarten team, we have Valerie Gonzalez and also Mary White. This is our newest team and one of the tightest in terms of planning and building lessons together, and they both bring out the best in each other.
Thank you.
Our first grade team is one of the first on our team to use data and use data to plan instruction, and they're super strong and they work well together. That's Lori Forrest and also Kelly Sebastian. Our second grade team has done some amazing work in a short time together. They have raised our test scores by 25% within the second grade. That's Ryan Walter and also Marissa Westlow. Our fourth grade team has done some amazing work recently in math, where they've actually built questions that they taught within that same week. And we're getting some pre and post tests that are off the chart. So this planning that we've done recently as a PLC might be a game changer for us. That fourth grade leader is Sherry Vanderpool. She's also our student leadership leader. we're fortunate to have Jan Gaber come work on our team. She is an expert in language and tying together learning in both languages. She is exceptional at writing, and she's a really great person to have on our staff and leaders. So we're very lucky to have her. One of the nice things about Hollister is we've got extra support, and our intervention teacher has done an amazing job working with our third grade team. In fact, she's representing our third grade team tonight. Stephanie Lloyd always goes above and beyond. Christine Martinez is our resource teacher, and the last few years, what she's done with data and coaching and building team has been incredible, and her growth has been a pleasure to watch. Thank you. And finally, our super intervention helper, assistant, guide, leader is Nancy Coates. Come on up. Nancy is stepping along the staff, took a lead on our bulletin board that I hope you look at later. It's integrating not only the character traits we're building in terms of being a gecko, but it's also integrating writing. And it looks great. Thank you. I did the bulletin board before. It looked like I was dissecting a gecko, so this is a definite improvement, and we're very pleased to have that. In the end, I just want to let you know what an absolute pleasure and an honor it is to work in Gabriel Hills, and how fortunate I feel to be a part of this team. And in the last 3 years, and this is my 4th year, I've never found a place where I've been happier, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to work with our great kids, our great staff, and our great support staff too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. There were no actions taken in closed session. We need to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Before we motion, we need to pull item 11E. It is actually a duplicate to item 11O.
11E.
It's a duplicate to 11O, so we'd like to pull 11E.
And to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ron? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Okay, for public comments, do we have any in public, board policy 9323, each speaker 3 minutes, the Brown Act prohibits the board from taking action at this meeting on items discussed at this time. Are there any comments?
There's none.
All right, thank you. And we'll begin with reports. Update on the general obligation bond program proposal, issue bonds in 2017. Mr. Tila.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. John Scalia, Director of Facilities. I have the pleasure this evening to introduce Mr. Dave Olson with PFM Financial Advisors to provide a presentation to you and an update on our GEO bond program, as well as the issuance of our Series B for Measure M and our Series A for Measure B. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Dave Olson.
Thank you very much. As John said, my name is David Olson. I'm with PFM Financial Advisor. We're the financial advisor on the bond program. Help you design the bond program and work through the issuance of bonds, develop some strategies. We'll have the bond program perform most efficiently through time. I want to start by saying congratulations. I've been down here since Measure B passed. It's an important next step in the bond program. This spring, we're going to be accessing some Measure V funds, as John said, along with Measure L. Tonight's presentation goes through some of our broader thinking about the bond program, and then we talk about the specific steps that we'll be taking as we access bonds this spring. So first thing I want to say is that the district really is in the initial stages of a long-term bond program. People have seen all the information, and there's a lot of needs in the district. It's on the Measure V fact sheet that you're estimating at over $100 million. Could be well more than that. The size of the district's tax base is a limiting factor in terms of how big these bond issuances can be. The bond authorizations, we have the 28.5 million, 36 million. We're starting to build our way there, but it's going to take some time. There are political, practical constraints, debt burden constraints. The facilities are going to continue to need more work as you go through time. So we're really wanting to think of this program as something that's going to be 10, 15, 20 years, always putting money into your facilities over time to provide, so you're able to provide kids with the kind of facilities they deserve. Successful bond elections aren't the only source of funding here, but they're the key source of funding. And you can see this 2014, 2016 bonds bring in more than $50 million. I really like those pass rates, right mid-60s, a comfortable level. The people of this community support what you're doing. What we're wanting to help you with is to implement the program in a way that continues to build on that support. We want this to be a legacy of trust. I think if you read newspapers around the state, there are school districts that get a yes vote and aren't able to meet their expectations of their community, and the bond program gets them in trouble. We're here to help you not do that. We want to continue to build a legacy of trust here. Continuity of the program through time, so we don't have all the resources we need. This is about accumulating resources that we can put into place and running a program so that we can plan for 6 years in advance, and we can see the manage it with a long-term vision. So the initial base is this 2014 and 2016 bond measure. Districts actively seeking state funding. Proposition 51 passed the state bond, so hopefully that will bring in some additional funding. Negotiation with developers can provide additional revenue. That's might be a challenge, but certainly you're providing facilities that make their homes more valuable. And additional bond funding might be necessary as we go through things over time. But what we want to be doing is putting money into our schools on a regular and consistent basis over an extended period of time. Pacing, we're not going to do everything at once. Planning should include strategic decisions about how quickly we should move through the program. Bond issuance, your tax base is going to grow over time. It's going to give you more ability to pay off these bonds at the target tax rates. So we're going to wait for some of the tax base growth. Multiple bond measures over time. Build the tax. Each authorization allows you to tax up to $30. We're trying to get to $28.50, but so you stack one on top of the other. You're able to build more capacity. And if one of these bond elections has trouble, we want to be doing the planning in such a way that we're not on our last dollar when the dollars run out. We want to have some time to build a soft landing if we need to, and a measured pace will allow us to appropriately respond to changing conditions. So we've got this $54 million of authorization, only 40 left at this point, but we're going to be going through it over time. In terms of where we're headed with this next bond issuance, really the planning part looks at 4 elements: the timing, the sizing, the repayment structure, how we share those costs among taxpayers today and tomorrow, and the method of sale. So in terms of the timing, we know that financing can take 60 to 90 days, so we need to get started early. John tells me we need, yep, that we're going to need money pretty soon, so we're moving this pretty quickly. We had a meeting earlier this month, and we're presenting here. Hope to have board action in February. In terms of the sizing, We want to build around a number of concepts. The federal tax concept that I mentioned there is we need to be able to spend the money within 3 years. We need to reasonably represent that, but we also need to size the bond so that we're meeting our tax rate target and that we're not overburdening future taxpayers. If you borrow too much too early, the temptation is to push payments back. That's kind of in the next structure of repayment. That's not fair. School districts get in trouble when they do that. So we want to have this be meet our targets and be fair to everyone. Method of sale, we want to be able to show everyone that we're borrowing money at the lowest rates that we can get. Market's pretty good now. You might read in the paper that there's been some increases in interest rates, and it's been a little bit of a rocky market. We're going to be able to get our money. We're going to be able to borrow at rates that compare well to what we borrowed against in 2006 and in the mid-90s. But we may not be able to borrow at rates that are as low as you're going to borrow. Timing and sizing. We built the plan around 3 series of approximately equal size in alternate years. So we're spreading each authorization over 6 years. That allowed the tax base to grow. It worked for a variety of reasons. Doesn't have us going back to the voters as often. But we want to adjust that throughout. Right? The cost of the projects you're doing are changing. Tax base is growing. We've had good growth the last 2 years. Interest rates are changing. So we always want to adjust. We want to recommend a new size each time we go in. Yes.
When you say tax base, you mean new homes being built?
The tax base, the value of old homes and new homes. So the district's tax base right now, flip to it so I don't give you the.
It's okay. We don't need to get these. I understand that.
Okay, so it's the value of the homes, and if you own your home now, it's increasing by 2% a year. When they're building new homes, you see the jump up. So we've built our program around 4% growth in the tax base. That's lower than the historical average, and I think is particularly conservative given the growth projections here. But we didn't want to get, right, we expected to grow faster, but we don't want to count on that growth. We want to plan for it, but not issue bonds until it arrives. So each time we issue bonds, we'll be coming forward and deciding on the sizes. They don't need to be what's in the original plan. In terms of the 2014 Measure M, which was $28.5 million bond authorization, we borrowed $14 million the first time. Tax base growth has been pretty good, interest rates pretty good. You have a need to spend the money. We're going to get the other $14.5 now. Last bullet. Now's the appropriate time to be thinking about where you're going to get the funds to renovate the schools after this 14 is gone. Right? So need to be thinking ahead. In terms of like kind of the new construction, the 2016 Measure V, we certainly expect to spend those monies within the next 3 years. But there is some uncertainty. We don't know how much the new school is going to cost. We don't know where the other funds are going to be available. Much more will be known by spring next year. So one of the things we've been talking about is borrowing some of the money here and having but structuring it so that around the plan of building a second issue in the spring of 2018. And the amounts of those are still under discussion, but they'll be decided, and there'll be a recommendation when you have the resolution next month. Discussions are ongoing. Oops. I lost one of my slides here. But despite recent increases, interest rates remain low by historic levels. You can see this goes back 20 years to 1997. And if you just follow one color line, it's a little confusing if you look at everything together. But you see that since 2009, of course, rates have been much lower than they have been before that. But you see it's going up in the last 2 months. The rates stay low enough. Given current rate, the district may have an opportunity to refund certain bonds issued under 97 Measure G. Hopefully do people have a copy that has some words on this? No? So I'm sorry. The main point of the refunding is that you may see that in the resolution. Yeah, I don't know why they don't appear. But you issued bonds from the 97 authorization in 2 series. You refunded those series in 2006. We have another opportunity to refund those for taxpayer savings today. If it creates savings that are significant, we're going to do it at the same time with this bond issue because it saves on upfront costs of issuance. We won't extend the term. We won't increase the payments in any individual year. So it'll just be a positive for the taxpayers, but it's not a pencil out. And we'll see as we move through this. We'll authorize the bonds. We'll set a savings target, but we won't sell those bonds unless they create savings.
Is this because we built in reserves for interest costs, and the interest costs have been being lower, or?
Because each time that you issue bonds, it's like taking out a loan, like a home mortgage. So in '97, you took out something that was 6%. And in 2006, you were able to refinance down to 4.5%. And because this is so short now, we might be able to borrow at 2.5%. So we don't create any new money, like we don't cash out, that's illegal. But we can borrow money. We use most of the money to pay off the old bonds, and balance to pay costs of issuance. And then if the remaining payments are below what the payments were before, each year in the future, taxpayers save some money. Not going to be a big savings. It's not going to amount to much on a per household basis, but it'll show good financial stewardship. We really recommend that people look at these refunding opportunities at the time they're doing something else, because then you can do it without increasing your costs.
That's very important for us to be able to show that to our community, to show it to our taxpayers.
From all angles, need to be building a legacy of trust. So as we implement this financing plan, kind of 6 things going on, overlapping processes. We'll pass some authorizing documents. You'll approve those in February. We'll put together an official statement that'll go in front of investors. We'll get ratings on the bonds. That's step 3. Step 4, we'll set the interest rates and we negotiate on your behalf. Step 5, Lisa and the staff sign some closing documents that are this big, just like a mortgage. And then we plan for the ongoing responsibilities, right? I'm going to talk about that in a second, but part of what we're trying to do, make sure you don't get any papers for failing to keep up with the ongoing responsibilities. This next page is the list of all the parties who are involved in a bond issue. There are a lot of people involved. You don't have to do a bond issue. You go to your bank, and your bank, local bank, buy the bonds. They charge a higher interest rate. All these costs are designed to drive down the interest rate. Financial advisor getting tax credit and all this. Financing schedule, making a nice presentation. You'll approve the documents in February on the 28th. We'll meet with the rating agencies the week before that. Hopefully we'll have some news to report on the 28th as to what our ratings are. Sell the bonds in the middle of March. You'll have the bonds by the end of March, and that will allow the project to keep moving forward. I did want to talk a little bit about the authorizing resolution. It does 4 basic things. It authorizes us to issue bonds with the new money refunding bonds. It establishes the broad parameters governing their sale, not to exceed amounts, not to exceed interest rates, things like that. It acknowledges certain commitments and responsibilities of the district. We're borrowing at tax exempt rates. We have to use them for good public benefit purposes. We build a school with it, and we end up selling the school. We need to use the sale proceeds to pay back the bonds because the school's not doing a public benefit anymore. And it approves certain documents as to form. The last thing, I think this is the last thing I want to talk about, is the regulatory and compliance issues. State is concerned about bond practices of school districts. State Treasurer's Office passed a new, or pushed a new law that was approved by the state legislature last year that requires all school districts to adopt a debt policy. So we'll be doing that at our at the meeting in February. We held this election under Prop 39, which allowed us to pass at 55%, but that also said we need to have a bond oversight committee. We need to have annual financial and performance audits. You're doing that. Federal tax law, we don't want to borrow more than we need. We want to spend the money quickly, and we want to send back any excess earnings that we have. We help you with that calculation. Securities law, we want to make sure that we provide the market with ongoing information. So it's a complicated process, but one where it offers very, very low interest rates. So the lowest you can get when we securitize these loans. So all the work in this next 90 days is designed to borrow at low cost, so your taxpayers get savings. That's the overview. Congratulations. We're thinking hard about how to do this in a way that builds a legacy of trust. The next step here is the sale of the second series of Measure M and the first series of Measure D. We'll be back in February. Thank you.
Anybody got questions, Mr. Olson? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another report today on Hollister Prep by Ms. Martinez.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Andrew, Dr. Kurtz, staff, community. I'm here this evening to report to you on an official review that we did of Hollister Prep School that took place in the fall. Before I begin, I would like to welcome some members that are joining us from Navigator Schools. We have Kevin Sved, who's the CEO of Navigator. We have James Dent, who is the academic director. And we have Heather Parsons, who is what we would call the principal, but I believe they call the school leader. Welcome. They're here this evening to answer any questions that you may have in the report.
Have I put that in?
So why are we doing this review? Well, we as the charter authorizing agency are required to keep an eye on Hollister Prep School under our charter and make sure that they are following what they said they were going to do in their charter and remaining fiscally solvent and doing basically what they said they would do. The state of California requires us to keep an eye on that and do these things that are listed here, which are really rather general. It says the charter authorizing entity is responsible for ensuring the charter school operates in compliance with all applicable laws and the terms of its charter. Specifically, it must do these things: identify at least one staff member as a contact person for the school, visit the school at least annually, ensure that each charter school under its authority complies with all reports required by law, monitor the fiscal condition of each charter school under its authority, and provide timely notification to the CDE if the charter is revoked or if the school will close for any reason. Those are rather general, but these are things that we have been doing in the 4 years, I believe, that we have been working with Hollister Prep School. But under Dr. Andrews' direction, it was time to do it in a more official manner, use a monitoring instrument, and make sure that we were really hitting the details of everything that needed to be done, because these are fairly general. So the staff involved in the two, from the two sides, were myself, Erica Sanchez, because there was a portion on the human resources that needed to be done, Gabe for the fiscal services, and Rick for the director of special education. Interestingly enough, this particular monitoring instrument that we chose to use didn't address facilities. So, but we know that John is always in constant contact with them regarding facilities. John is here. And on their side, we had Melissa Alator for human resources, Kirsten Carr, who is their director of outreach and communication, Sharon Waller, who does their special ed and student services, James Dent, and Heather Parsons. I work most closely with Heather and with Kirsten to do the document review and the classroom walkthroughs. And I would really like to thank both of them especially because they made the process easy and just a breeze for me to be able to get there and see what I needed to see and do what I needed to do. So thank you. So we started the process with a meeting in September with Dr. Andrew, and James was there, and Heather was there, and Kirsten was there with us. Dr. Andrew brought with her, through her network of communications, instrument that we could use that the Santa Clara County Office of Education uses for monitoring their charter schools. So the day that we met, we reviewed that instrument and determined if it was appropriate for what we wanted to do, and sort of took some things out if it had to do with high school or things that weren't appropriate for us. And Heather was nice enough to then put it into a Google Doc that we could use as a shared document for our purposes, which made it so much easier. Then it was agreed that the documentation and the evidence gathering would happen in the months of September, October, and December, and be completed by December 15th, so we could have a report ready for this January board meeting. And I believe the March board meeting that Navigator will have as well. So we also determined that evidence would be gathered in 3 ways: through site visits to see the classroom instruction and some of the pieces that are on file there, a document review, and then interviews for clarification as needed. So that is what we did for those 3 months. So during the site visits, I personally visited 4 times on different occasions. Heather was kind enough to walk through the classrooms with me on every visit. And also, I was unable to get there to see the science instruction that I wanted to see. So she did video clips and sent them to me so that I could stay on my calendar and feel good that I had seen instruction in every subject area. So as I said, they really made it easy and went out of their way to help me get this done in a timely manner. Classroom walkthroughs proved instruction is being provided according to the charter agreement. And they have explained to me, they have continued to adapt their program every year because they do look at their data a lot. And if they see an area that needs something different, they do something different. So what they're doing does not look exactly like what their charter said 4 years ago, but the charter is 5 years. And so I'm sure when they come back to rewrite it, they're going to incorporate some of the new great strategies that they have come up with in this time. I feel that Navigator is especially strong in the use of data for decision making. I saw that in every step with what they're doing to provide intervention for students, to provide enrichment for students. They're constantly looking at data. I thought they're very strong in that area. For the document review, again, Heather and Kirsten spent a lot of time sitting with me. They uploaded things to a shared drive that I was able then to access just from my office and do the review, and then be able to go back and ask questions if I had any or needed something further. They really thought ahead to, if we need to answer these questions, what kind of documents do we have that could answer the questions? And they were there with them ready when I arrived. And then my counterparts, as I said, worked with their counterparts. We determined at that meeting that special ed should talk directly to special ed. So then my counterparts spoke with their counterparts to finish their part of the report. You have the report that was provided with the agenda. So as you can see, it was a pretty lengthy report. There were several sections to it. And within that, there were actually 2 areas that we came away with, in which we would say there was a finding, which you will remember from FPM days. Those of you that are on the board, a finding just means something that needs to be corrected. Number 1 is that not all of the Hollister Prep School teachers have received training in the new California English Language Development Standards. That's understandable. They're lengthy, they're rather complicated, and as we do in Hollister School District, they have new teachers every year. So they're looking for training opportunities. They do most of their professional development, as we would consider professional development, in the summer. So Heather explained that probably in the future staff development in the summer, the upcoming summer, they will try to incorporate something with the English Language Development Standards. And then this was just an odd thing, but all board members have not filed the Statement of Economic Interest in Form 700 at that time. This was 2 months ago. And I happen to know it's the season for it again since I just filled mine out. So the staff was going to work with board members to accomplish this, and I'm going to look to them for confirmation that that is now taken care of. So that is actually the end of my report, unless there are questions.
So this is the legal review. So I guess that's the word I'm using. But how are the kids doing? How are the students doing?
Very well.
How would I know that?
We're looking at their test scores. We got that last month. Mr. President, I think it was last month.
I know I've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Maybe I
think
just
it was
pulled out one, I
December.
didn't see
I think it was
it.
December because Rob was on in December. It might have been October or November when we did the data presentation. It was October or November. Hollister Prep was included, but,
It was also in the search.
I was gonna say,
oh,
I don't know how to pronounce it.
the SARCs.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was in there, because I know, I remember reading it today.
Okay.
I don't have a SARC, I don't have their SARC in with ours.
At any rate,
At any
would you
rate,
like
yes.
a report
Yeah.
on how Hollister Prep students are doing?
I would, when you get a chance.
Okay.
Did you, Bob, did you have any questions? Would you like them to?
I'd like to give them a chance to speak though, absolutely. Yeah.
No, I mean, again, I have to see the data and like you say, they're doing great, that's great.
So, they should be proud.
Yes.
So we actually went over our current charter with what we said we were going to work together and how we were going to work together. Because I know when we first started the charter, there were certain pieces in there of requirements. And I know we had asked this last time because having one of our board members at their board meetings to kind of get an idea of, what their discussions are and how things are going, with the structure from board to board. And that really never materialized because I know Pat had been selected to represent Hollister School District.
Because their board meeting was on the same day as ours. They were on a quarter basis, but we were monthly, and I was never willing to give up our board meeting for 10 years.
Are your board meetings still on Tuesday evenings, Kevin?
Generally, but they are just quarterly. We can look at rescheduling those if that would help. I mean, for this year, they are set. But going into the next year, we could definitely look at changing those.
I think it would be nice to have someone more current on what you guys are doing and how it's coming together.
Where are they held?
We alternate between Gilroy Prep School and Hollister Prep School. So the next one, which is March 14th, is a Tuesday. I'm not sure if that's the same Tuesday that one of your meetings is.
It isn't.
So that one's going to be in Hollister.
Right.
So that might work.
So maybe I can get a hold of that calendar from you and then we can actually see if we might not be overlapping anymore.
Okay.
We can make sure that we have someone there.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, and they are posted on our website too.
Perfect. I'll do that.
I don't remember off the top of my head the data, but I do recall that Hollister Prep is doing an excellent job, and I just wanted to commend you guys. I know at one time we actually even received support from them to help our teachers, I believe, in all the Hardin campus. So, I'd love to see what that success looks like and see how it can help us. So I appreciate all that you guys have done.
Navigator Schools actually provided training for the teachers at all Hardin. They joined forces with the teachers from Hollister and Gilroy Prep this summer for the training on some of the strategies and especially the coaching that happens at Hollister Prep. And in fact, James is still part of the contract with him, was he continues to work with them throughout the year in the coaching model. In fact, I was over there on Friday and the administrative staff was in a conference call with James about looking at some data.
Kevin, did you want to say anything?
Sure. Well, good evening, board members, Superintendent Andrew, Dr. Kurtz. I really want to say thank you to Lana, who really was very thorough in her review, and thank you to Dr. Andrew, who brought us all together to look at the Santa Clara County Office of Education instrument that was used in the charter review process. It's a very extensive instrument, as you see in your handout, so it really boosted our rigor, and it was a very healthy process for us to go through, and so we really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And we also just thank all of you for the support that you provided to our school and providing choice for parents in the Hollister School District boundaries to be able to utilize the services that we provide at Hollister Prep School. And we're just really happy about the ongoing collaboration that we have with the Hollister School District.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much.
Can I ask a question, James?
Yep.
Do you get, I'm sure you do, because they're the same kids that come to our party. Kids that only speak Spanish.
We have, essentially each year we have students that come in kindergarten. So every year since our inception, we've sat in at the R.L. Hardin Kinder Roundup. And so that's where the majority of the students that we do have come into the program come in through that Kinder Roundup at R.L. Hardin. I would say there's a low percentage of students that are 100% Spanish speaking only. But we definitely have a lot of students that are level 1 and 2 on the CELT in the first year of the English language test that we give.
What percentage of your current student body at HPS are English language learners?
I just saw that. No, that's the actual score. So at the end of the 15th school year, it was 113 out of, would that be 240 kids? Do you remember off the top of your head, Heather?
144, 300.
So it's 144 students out of 300, so a little bit less than 50%.
40%.
And do you accept kids that don't start, kinder with you? So if 10-year-old came into the area and wanted to go to
Yep. So any student in the state of California that applies to come into our school right now, we have waiting lists. Of course, they would go to the bottom of the waiting list. But we do backfill when a student leaves our school to go somewhere else. We go to that waiting list and bring in the number 1 on the list.
Do the kids have any difficulty adjusting to your way of dealing with versus the average school?
I would say they become accustomed to our strategies and our kind of the culture of our school very quickly. And I can think of some very specific students that we had come over from Hardin last year who had some difficulties, I would say, in schooling, and were very quickly became very accustomed to them. I have some great video actually of a few of those students, how quickly they became part of the culture in our classrooms. And really it has a lot to do with the consistency that they have. Despite the fact that the students work with maybe 4 or 5 different adults every single day, the consistency in the way that we're instructing, the students very quickly learn to kind of roll with the rhythm of the instruction that we have.
James, on your special ed population, are you doing an inclusion program?
Yep, it's 100% inclusion. We have, how many special ed paras do we have? 3? 3.5. So those are small group instructors, we call them, as well as a full-time RSP teacher, as well as a half-time, I believe, speech right now.
What's your number of specs?
It's somewhere between 6 and 8%. Yeah. And there is very little pullout at all. We have probably 95% of is push-in, with some exceptions of articulation for speech, where you kind of have to pull the student out to work on articulation.
So within the basic structure with HPS and with the standard traditional system, the big differences in the approach with special education, and is there a huge approach is what I'm trying to get to?
Like a difference?
Yeah.
Based on, I can't speak for Hollister School District, but I was a principal in Gilroy Unified and also Pajaro Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a very, and also as a teacher in Aroma San Juan, they would pull students out of the class. They would pull them out in the middle of math instruction, they would pull them out in the middle of reading instruction, writing instruction, to get in the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I, as a teacher and as a principal, often questioned, is the student falling further and further behind because of the amount of time they're missing from core instruction with their classmates, or is it truly a learning issue?
And so I think what we've seen with our students is that there are many students, and I would say students that would probably qualify for a special day class. We probably between our two schools have somewhere between 8 and 10 students that are fully included, that if you didn't really, if you weren't really close to the student or observing for an extended period of time, you wouldn't realize that that student would need a more quote unquote intensive services in a traditional system. So I think that inclusion has been very, very successful.
Any other questions? I think it's good.
Okay.
Thank you, Lana.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for waiting too.
We're going to hear a report on the progress of the district goals for Sierra Vista. There you go.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Dr. Andrew, Dr. Kurtz, and esteemed colleagues and members of the audience. Okay, okay, there we go. District goal number 1, English language arts. As you can see, we've made some progress from 14-15 to 15-16, but still have a ways to go before we meet our goal. Those are, of course, from the state testing at the end of the year. The progress is measured, of course, by our benchmarks. Right now, we have only completed benchmarks from the first trimester for these grade levels. So we'll be looking at our data again next month after we get our second benchmark testing done. As you can see, we're well on track in 5th grade overall, but we've got a lot of work to do with our English language learners. Our strategic actions based on this data include frequent check-ins also, besides what's listed there. We do frequent check-ins with our EL students, as well as we're focusing on training teachers how to do and get better at goal setting conferences, which is a high leverage strategy. We're big on PLCs. You're going to see the same strategies for math when we get to that slide as well. We've been working on PLCs for several years, and we're getting better and better at them. As Rick DeForest will tell you, that's one of the big secrets to success, and so we are really focusing on our grade level teams, working together, looking at data, looking at common formative assessments, so that we will keep growing together and plug those holes. Mathematics, as you can see, we do have an issue in a strong issue in a couple of areas. Again, this is from the first benchmark. We're really anxious to see the progress we've made on our second benchmark next month. 4th grade and 5th grade are doing relatively well overall, but we have a lot of work to do in other grade levels. And we are addressing that, again, through our PLCs. Familiar slide? Our English learners proficiency. We made a lot of growth last year. This year, we are working right now on we're putting a lot of staff development in our staff meetings, particularly on English language learner issues. For instance, the difference between integrated and dedicated ELD and other strategies that are important to do. We also hired an additional intervention teacher who is focusing primarily on getting those ELs that are stuck to get moving along so that they can be prepared to pass the CAS, which is where a lot of them are stuck right now. On professional learning communities, as we said before in the earlier slides, we have been working on increasing our effectiveness in PLCs over the several years. We're focusing on rigor. The admin team is at the PLC meetings in order to provide support and guidance
for our PLCs, and our goal is always to have common formative assessment data and analysis going on at higher levels at every meeting. Technology. 30% of our teachers right now are Google Level 1 trained. None of them are actually certified. However, we made a very good point. Dr. Andrew made the point, and then we capitalized on it, that training precedes new purchases. So if they want, if we want to be able to get more technology, we've got to be well trained in how to use it. They heard that loud and clear.
I saw today, that was the message today, not getting more stuff until you're trained on what you got.
That's right. So 13% of our staff did sign up for the January 24th training. And our IT department's Google Certification Study Guide was emailed to all teachers too, as a support for them, so that they can get up to speed as quickly as possible. Goal number 4, safe and positive school environment, has always been important to us, obviously. We are proud of our low suspension rate. Right now, it is extremely low, 0.005%. And as you can see, one of the reasons why we collect several years of data rather than just looking at one is overall our proportionality of suspensions of Latino students is equal to low most years. And our attendance rate is improving and has been holding steady at 96% for the last 3 years. And so we're really proud of our efforts there too. The most impactful strategy for the leadership blueprint training is modeling the respect and responsibility through the 4 questions that they ask us to ask kids. We are very clear that in order to earn respect, we have to be respectful adults. And that concludes my overview. Any questions? Or am I
So,
to the past?
That suspension rate, so just give me an idea of like how many students that is.
Oh, I have the numbers.
0.03 of your total population.
I don't remember what it was in 13, 14, but it was, we were like 750 kids, I think, in that year. I'm trying to remember. No, that was the year we didn't have 6th grade anymore. So I'm thinking we had about high 600 children there. I want to say I think it was 24 suspensions in all, but it wasn't that many children because there were several students who got suspended more than once.
Okay.
But it's, right now, I think that's, obviously math is not my strongest suit, although I'm pretty good at it.
No, what I'm trying to get at is, you know, because I look at the test scores, you know, the academic, and you know, there's obvious room for improvement in some, you know, overall. But if I were to walk on that campus, because it looks like you have a really low suspension rate, is discipline a problem on your campus? In other words, you know, are you reticent to suspend a child because you don't want that number to go up?
Oh, heavens no.
Okay.
We know that if we send a child home, that can be reinforcing some negative behaviors in the child. Some children want to go home.
Oh, I know.
So we would rather have them in our offices and working with them there and making life very boring for them, so so going home is not a reward. We also know that some children, it's going to be harmful for them to go home for whatever reason. Maybe the family doesn't have you know, care, or it could be a hardship, or perhaps it's because the child that we know that we can work with them at that school. Maybe there's no one at home that can take the extra time with the child that they would need to bolster their learning, whereas we can do that in limited cases in small numbers, of course. But we also have some really excellent teachers who are very serious about building relationships with kids. As we all know, is where it starts. You know, you build a good relationship with the child, and you've got their heart. as Flip Flippin says, right? And so I think that it is our whole system together where we don't give up on kids. We teach children how to monitor their feelings, monitor their behaviors, and manage their behaviors, and teach them to be responsible and respectful. And I think that is a big key to our success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
Our next report is progress towards district goals for Olive Garden. Ms. Tackett?
Good evening. Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Kurtz, Dr. Andrew, Hollister School District staff, and members of the audience. I'm really excited and pleased to present tonight. Okay, so our first slide English Language Arts. 2014 and 15, grade 3, we had 21% of our students meeting or exceeding standards. And I mean, I don't have to read it all to you, but as you can see, going down the line, right now, we've got 29% progress. So our goal is 51%. And I think we're on the right track. We're at 29% right now per benchmark 1. And I think we're getting really close. Our ELLs, our progress for our ELLs, we do have some work to do there. So 21% of those students were meeting or exceeding standards. Grade 4, 22% of our students right now are meeting or exceeding standards in English Language Arts per the benchmark. And our English language learners in that grade, 14% are meeting or exceeding standards. And like I said, we still have a lot of work to do, and we still have many months to go. Grade 5, 33% of our students are meeting or exceeding standards. 51%, yes, is our goal. And our English language learners right now, 22% are meeting or exceeding standards. Any questions?
So this was the first benchmark done when? October. So we do benchmarks every, how often?
It depends on the grade level.
February. So we do 2 a year? Or 3?
3 for some grade levels that don't get the pass. Actually, 4 for some grade levels if they're following the.
For what's being reported here, we have 2 benchmarks. 3, 4, and 5 take 2 benchmarks. Correct. October and February. So we're getting ready to take the next benchmark.
So will that data be added to the progress previously, or is it another?
No, it's another measure.
Okay.
Not cumulative.
District goal number 1, English Language Arts. Some of the strategic actions that we put into place, implementation of strategies learned at NAVI 101. We did take a 2-week training in August 1st. Those first 2 weeks, and we did have our instructional assistants also take the NAVI 101 training the first week.
So NAVI 101 is Hollister Prep. So for 2 weeks, our Harvard staff was trained with Hollister Prep. So that we're all understanding what NAVI 101 is.
Was that done this year?
Yep.
Right, this current school year?
Yep, it was done in August.
We have daily small group instruction K-5 with the help of instructional assistants. Students are actively using RACE strategy, which is restate the question, answer the question, cite the source, and explain. And we do that every single day, every single well, not every single center, one of the centers, and then the teacher also utilizes that strategy as well. Students are utilizing prove and disprove strategies to justify their thinking. And we have teacher coaching and feedback sessions every day.
Elaine, I'm going to ask you a tough
Sure.
question, and I
Sure.
didn't tell you I was going to do this. You okay?
No, I'm fine. And James is in the room. Yes, all right. How close is what the kind of coaching that we're doing at R.L. Hardin to the kind of coaching that's happening at Hollister Prep? Are we 50%, 100%, 75%?
Oh, you know me, I'm really hard on myself.
I know, that's why I'm asking you.
So I would say, I'd say 40%.
Thank you for your honesty.
And then, so there are areas that you feel we
Absolutely.
could definitely be stronger at modeling what is happening in HPS and bringing that forward in with James, or even having, I think that, well, both of you, is just having, I mean, the goal is that we're trying to pick up on key things that HPS is doing, and they're doing very successfully. Their scores very well prove that, with the same type of demographics, are very nearly the same to what we have in R.L. Hardin. And I think that's the key, is figuring out what we're still weak in and strengthening that, so that, you know, we are providing, you know, that type of quality of service and education to our kids as HPS does for theirs.
Right, and I do want to remind you, we are in year 1.
Right.
So, yeah, like Dr. Andrew knows, I'm really hard on myself. So if we could probably be doing this for 3 years, and I might still say I'm only at 70%. I always think there's a lot room to grow. Okay, strategic actions for English language learners, designated ELD grouped by self-level daily language objectives, integrated into all content areas, and a focus on frequent use of academic vocabulary, more of that. And we do use, with the RACE strategy, the students are verbalizing when they're restating the question, answering the question, citing the source, and explaining it. They're not just writing it, they're also verbalizing it. Any questions? Am I not doing it? There we go. Now, district goal number 1. Okay, grade 3. We have made some progress. We are at 28% right now of our students who are meeting or exceeding standards. ELLs, 21%. Grade 4, 41%. Grade ELLs for grade 4, 30%. Grade 5, 66%. I'm really happy with that one. That one is 66%, and 57% of our ELLs are meeting or exceeding standards. We are doing so well. We have a lot of growth to do, and we are working every single day, constantly giving feedback to our teachers. And they have been so wonderful and gracious about the whole thing.
Does all include ELL? Okay.
Strategic actions, same as language arts, the implementations of the strategies learned during our 2-week training in the summer, daily small group instruction, K-5, with the help of instructional assistants. We do the same thing in math as we do in language arts. However, it is math. And so we use BASE strategy rather than the RACE. We box, analyze, solve, and explain. Students utilize prove and disprove strategies to justify their thinking. I've talked to our 5th grade teachers, and I know our math teachers are using this as they're having the students use this when they're taking the test. So every single question, they do this. Strategic actions for English language learners, designated ELD grouped by self-level daily language objectives integrated into all content areas, and focus on frequent use of academic vocabulary, more of that. District goal number 2, professional learning communities. We do have designated PE time to meet with grade level teammates, PE time to meet with vertical teammates,
every other Thursday for grade level or vertical team collaboration, and we have 180 additional minutes to meet with teammates and vertical teammates. Our strategy for ensuring implementation according to solution tree training, answering the 4 critical questions on a Google Doc, and those are shared. That's shared with admin. Data collection for monitoring implementation according to solution tree training, student work, writing samples, common formative assessments, and benchmark data. Any questions? Okay, our district goal, number 3, technology. Currently, 5% of our teachers are Google level 1 trained, but we did have a training over the weekend, and I know that there are a few more teachers that took the training. Students who are using devices, they're using them about 80 minutes per day, and those are the current programs that we are using. Lexia and ST Math, first grade, Lexia, ST Math, Fast Math, and some students are using Scholastic Reading Inventory to measure the Lexile levels. Scholastic Reading Counts is incentives. Second, same thing, but second grade, we're using now EDIMS to take the assessments. They could be common formative assessments or benchmarks. Third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade are the same, and we've added Reading Plus to that. As far as the Google platform goes, we have, while we're using or while we're having our coaching sessions, we have 2 support teachers, and 1 support teacher is focusing on technology, and she is starting to use the slides. So she'll use, what we do is we do the circle, or we do thinking map trainings at the beginning of the school year, and with that, she's been working on with those examples. The students are creating slides called All About Me. Strategic actions to get 80% of teachers Google level 1 certified. That's me. Also modeling the utilization of the platform, and our January 21st Google level 1 training. District goal number 4, safe and positive school environment. Our suspension rate, as you can see, is we're at 4% rate. We're at 4%, and we're working with our students, and they might be the same students that keep getting suspended, but we are using Capturing Kids' Hearts to work with students every single day. Our attendance rate is not as high as we'd like it to be, but we're going to go ahead and dig into that and figure out what's going on there. Strategies being implemented from leadership, blueprint training, social contracts, our school-wide morning message, our staff morning huddle, and the 4 questions for misbehavior and or disrespect. Additional professional goal. Mine with what is element 2A, one of the goals is element 2A, leaders promote a culture in which staff engage in individual and collective professional learning that results in their continuous improvement and high performance by name and by need. My self-assessment in August is approaching the standard. Like I said, I'm really hard on myself. I'll just always go there. Strategic actions, coaching, feedback sessions to get me, further on that rubric. Coaching, feedback sessions, ROH coaching survey that I sent out in January, and staff learning meetings. Any questions?
I'm going to go out, I don't live here, and sort of speak to the board. Our lack of questions isn't because of disinterest at all, especially to me. I just know that we have a special session scheduled February 4th, and I think a lot of my questions will be asked then. But overall, and I didn't want to ask Mrs. Little, I didn't want to direct the questions towards one principal or another. But I will tell you, at least now just speaking for myself, one thing, I mean, I am personally, and that's why I ran for this, I'm very disappointed in the academic outcomes that we get here. And I am really struggling, and we spend a great deal of time, or Dr. Andrews spends a great deal of time with me trying to explain where we're going with this. But I just wanted to, all the principals that are here to understand is, you know, I'm here to help improve the data that's presented in all of these. I literally carry these around in my briefcase, as well as some of the documents that I used when I was running for the seat to remind me of the promise I made to the people. But the number one question I have, given our results compared to what the standards are, that a lot of brilliant people have come up with the standards, is our population in the county of San Benito different, or so different that we're not achieving the standards that we should be. And, you know, I have a great love for Sierra Vista School. That's the first public school my wife taught at in this county. And R.O. Hardin, I really have a soft spot for, because I know your population is you know, you do have a lot of ELLs and things like that. So I just want you to know, even though I don't really have a question for you, is we're here to support you and all the other principals to get the standards up, because, you know, I see all of the strategies that you're employing, but, you know, your report card really is the 2 slides, that one and the one, you know, from math. And I just, again, overall, I'm very disappointed, but I'm so disappointed I'm willing to invest some time and to do the shifting of resources and things like that, whatever, you know, we need as a school district. Because I don't, no disrespect to the charter school that's here tonight, you guys are doing great, and there are some things that we can learn definitely, you know, from you. But the greater population, that 80% that the other principals here that are dealing with, not the AAA, not the HDLA, we have to figure out how to lift those people up. And I really am looking forward to February 4th, figuring that out and going through the data.
Absolutely, and I'm really excited that Dr. Andrew is here to help us transform our schools and help us out with that also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.
Thank you. Our next report is from Dr. Kurtz regarding the Williams Uniform Complaint Procedure Report.
Good evening, everybody. As you know, every quarter, we need to report to the board and also to the County Office of Education a summary about any complaints we received pursuant to the waive lawsuit settlement. Those kind of complaints will be complaints to the district that concern insufficient instructional materials, that concern teacher vacancies and or missed assignments, or that would concern emergency with some kind of urgent facility issue, all of those things affecting student learning. And for the record, no complaints have been filed with the district for the quarter that ended December 31st, 2016. Any questions? Okay.
Or ask questions about nothing.
Well, I'm sure there's a story behind this. And it sounds like a Band-Aid that was put on years ago that you have to rip off a little bit every month.
Williams report, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, it's a response, it's a lawsuit in response to a
It's
lawsuit.
Everybody
now has to do it.
There were some horrendous conditions in some schools in the state of California where students literally did not have books, 3 books in a classroom of 20 kids, that kind of 30 kids. They didn't have credentialed teachers. They had horrible facilities, I mean, literally, falling apart building, bathrooms so bad you wouldn't go, this sort of thing. And lawsuits were brought against that district and ultimately against, at a higher level. And so the ultimate settlement included this idea that all the school districts in the state have to do inspections every year, have to have certain verbiage posted in all the classrooms. Our lowest performing schools are visited by the County Office of Education to see if we have enough textbooks and if we have all the materials that we need to have. All these things happen as a consequence of the lawsuit. And one other consequence is that we need to give this support. So it's just a function of that. And it's been around, I want to say 15 years or something. It's not something recent.
For a bit. With Williams visits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have a special report from the Special Education Task Force update. Mr. Lutz is going to share with us.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out to hear the Special Task Force update. As everybody knows, we have a Special Education Task Force to look and observe our programs and look at the FCMAT study, which is the Fiscal Crisis Management Assistance team that did the study on Hollister School District's programs. And the FCMAT report was completed in 2014. And we are looking at that and seeing what improvements and changes we can make in our programs. Since the last board meeting, we were able to take a subcommittee from our task force, which has 17 members now. We increased and added 2 paraprofessionals to the team, as well as a parent who was not able to attend the last task force meeting, but will be at the next. And so we have about 17 members on the team now, and 9 of us went to Stanislaus County to see the programs run by Patterson Unified and Turlock Unified. Patterson was one of the districts that we were compared to in the FCMAT study. And again, it was a chance for us to see their special day class settings, as well as the interventions that they have in place for their general education population, as well as their more mild to moderate special education needs. A big aha moment and eye opener for the group of us that went was the school in Patterson that we attended and visited had over 800 students, and it was a TK through 5th grade campus, and only 22 on their caseload for resource. And that's a very low number of students receiving the most mild supports of special education. And so we had a very long discussion with the principal and with their director of student services about what interventions they have to the district-wide, and that really gave us some good brainstorming kinds of activities on a meeting that we had yesterday. Same thing with Turlock. We went to Turlock, saw special day class programs, saw resource programs, spoke to speech and language pathologists, and really, again, came back yesterday to a meeting with the whole task force of brainstorming activities that Ms. Moore was attending and a part of. And we are going to meet again this Thursday as a subcommittee to put together our plan and recommendations and bring that to the task force on February 6th, and with what our first round of recommendations are going to be. It was amazing how many people from the task force come to Hollister and don't ever leave. So they come because it's such a great town. My parents were born and raised here, so I have been as well. And the most astonishing thing outside of the programs that we saw was the huge Amazon distribution center in Patterson, California, which never knew they had a huge Amazon. I was wondering where the drones were delivering my packages and where those were coming from. Patterson.
I was very impressed with the information that was shared yesterday. during the brainstorming, and how perceptive those who went on the field trip were, and the ideas that they came back with. They were wiggling, they were so excited about different things that would improve their students' experiences. So I was very impressed with the group.
I agree. Of the 9 that went, there are a few on the team that tend to be a little quiet, and they really spoke up yesterday, which told me that they saw a lot that they've been thinking about and reflecting on since the trip as well.
The question I wanted to ask for special ed, because I know the high school is moving very, very vigorously with the inclusion model and getting our kids more with our gen ed kids and involved in that fashion, and seeing how successful that model is looking in transitioning. We're trying to think of if that, because HPS does the same type of model, and looking if that would, in certain areas, perhaps help us try to model after that. Have we thought about that? Have we considered?
We absolutely have. So everything has been kind of thrown up on the board, and how can we maneuver it and fit it. We're using the 10 best practices from District Management Council suggestions, which are based on their research, on the 10 best practices for improving special education as our guiding force on what we want to do next. We do have a pilot inclusion program at Lad Lane School that started last school year, and that grew from 8 students to 13 this school year. And we're still, it's been a wonderful experience at Lad Lane, and we're looking at expanding that and improving it. Every year we're looking at ways we can improve.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you for setting up those visits and making them meaningful and stepping back. I know yesterday you let the 2 groups brainstorm. You did not guide you let them do the saying and the sharing. And that's a sign of leadership to me, when you can hand off and trust the group in the process. So thank you for leading the effort.
One more piece of that. There is a AXA, which is the Association of School Administrators Conference for Student Services and Special Education. It's been in Monterey for about the last 20 years. It's in Anaheim, February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So there's a group of us going, and we're going to observe programs down in Southern California during that time as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is consent items. These items are considered routine and may be enacted by the board in one motion. There is no discussion on these items prior to the motion unless a specific item is pulled from the consent list. And do I have a motion to approve items 11A through 11B and 11E through 11Q?
11F.
F through Q.
I made a motion.
You move? Okay, and do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, then we have general bond obligation consent items. They fall into the same category. Do I have a motion to approve 12A through 12K?
I'll make a motion.
All right, all those approve, in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. Let's see. We have, is this you, Dr. Andrew, or is this Mr. Tila?
Mr. Talia will do the 13.
President, members of the board, John Slee again, Director of Facilities. Item 13A, land lease agreement with Santa Clara County Office of Education Head Start Program. As you know, the district owns a residential home located on the Calaveras Elementary School, Calaveras Park site. The home was originally acquired with the acquisition of the land for the development of the school site. We as the district were approached by Santa Clara County Office of Education, their Head Start program. They were applying for a grant. If they were successful with this grant, they would be eligible for funding of a new facility. They were awarded the grant in December and had made a offer for the construction of a new Head Start facility, which would be a 2-classroom facility with offices, restrooms, and also laundry facilities within that footprint of the building to be placed at the location of our current residential home located there at Calaveras School and Park. The agreement would be initially for 5 years with 2 5-year options. The Santa Clara County Office of Education Head Start would be fully responsible for the cost of the construction. They are willing to share in the cost of the demo of our existing house. They would be responsible for all utilities as well as all other operations that would be needed as far as licensing, certificates, those types of things for the operation of a Head Start facility there. I'm sorry?
Sewer, wants to know about the sewer.
The sewer.
That deal we're making with the city, that one, we're willing and dealing about that sewer.
So the house currently has a septic tank, which is no longer serviceable. And the current city utilities, sewer line does not go down west of West Side Boulevard on Buena Vista. It is in the plan in the future, but not as of today. So we have been working with the city to request a waiver for the time being to actually have a septic tank placed on the property to support that building with future tie-ins out to Buena Vista when the new city sewer line extension actually happens.
But their homes all around here.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, you're asking for some logic there, Pat.
The sewer line that feeds or is the receiver of the school and the park right now. It's located off of Central Avenue, which is at the south end of our property. They do have an architect on board, and the architect is looking at ways to possibly tie into that and avoid the septic issue altogether, but that's to be engineered out here in the future. So this agreement, I bring before you for consideration. Again, they have the funding. They're very excited about this opportunity, as we are, and we'd like to bring this before you this evening for consideration.
I have a question. There is a park associated with Calaveras School and this house. Who owns and maintains the park?
So the district owns the land of the park, and we have a joint use agreement with the city of Hollister for a public park on that site. So this project would encompass the current footprint of the property that the house is located on, which is approximately 7,600 square feet of the land there. It will encroach a little bit into the existing park, which we've already had those discussions with the city of Hollister. They're well aware of that. And there's also an existing parking lot there adjacent to the park, which would be used as a parking supply for the Head Start building as well as for the park. So a shared use of that piece of it as well.
We won't need to amend our joint use just to protect ourselves in case there's an issue down the road they need to use.
We're currently in those discussions with the city of amending all the agreements at this time.
Member Carson came and he asked for taking all those 6 agreements, making one master agreement, and then also adding Lad Lane to the agreement.
With the big payback.
So we're in discussion and process with all of that. This will be part of it.
So you're still talking?
Always.
But more importantly, we're gonna have the Head Start program.
Yep, we're gonna have a Head Start.
Brand new facility located there at the site.
So we own the property still. They're just gonna own the buildings. They're gonna pay for their own buildings to be put on there. And this is gonna be a lease agreement with them for 5 years.
5 with 2 5-year options, so 15 years. During the time of the agreement, if they decide to, if they want to end the program or they want to sell their interest in those buildings, then the district has the first right of refusal to purchase the buildings.
So it'll be the upfront cost for the district to demolish the home and get it all cleaned up, and everything will be our cost.
They are willing to share in those costs.
What does that mean? Share as in how much?
I don't have those specifics at this time.
Okay.
But the earlier items that were approved under consent were for the demo and the abatement of the home.
So he's actually under promise and over delivering, because you've already approved for us to pay for the whole thing. He's still working it, so that they pay for part of it.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
But it is in the agreement that they will pay.
I believe it was like just a handful of months ago, we agreed to that.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the land lease agreement with Santa Clara County Office of Education for the Head Start program here in Hollister? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Wheel and deal, John, wheel and deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Andrews is going to talk to you about Clifford Moss contract with public relations consulting.
Can you bring up the attachment that was their presentation to us? And board has the bio on the company. So Lisa Andrew, your superintendent, coming before you tonight, asking you to approve the contract for Clifford Moss. Last month, came to you asking for direction on interviewing and seeking a company that could help us engage with our community. And us, meaning myself, administrative team, cabinet, as well as site administrators. And really wanting someone who comes alongside us with wanting to know about us, know about our community, and help us to connect with our community, both in giving them information as well as garnering information. We brought in 4 companies, and cabinet interviewed all of them. So 2 of those companies were local. One was from San Jose, and one was Clifford Moss is actually in Oakland. We found Clifford Moss at CSBA. That is where I saw their booth and people swarming their booth, and thought, maybe we should give them a go. I tried to bring before cabinet a wide variety of folks so that they could see everything that was out there, the type of companies that were out there, and make a decision. Part of it was the company being a firm had 10 minutes to pitch to us. They all got the same information about us. They got time to ask me questions. They had 10 minutes to, after hearing and reading about us and seeing what was approved by the board to seek contract, how would they engage us and how would they present themselves to us? We thought this was important to give them that short time. And then we left 10 minutes for question and answer by the cabinet. And then we came together and had quite an interesting discussion and matrix on where we thought people were and what we thought we wanted. The whole process was an incredible learning process for me, as well as I think for cabinet. It was very collaborative and discussing different things, and I am totally aware now where each of my cabinet members feels that they need the support around public relations, so that was great. So Clifford Moss did not put this up on the screen, they handed it to us, and if you go down, just the cover, please, the cover, please, the other way, please. Thank you. It was a conversation guide. That, I like that. This is a conversation guide. They wanted to have a conversation with us. They sat around the table and looked at us. Scroll, please. Their motto is, let us tell your story. I like that. We need to have a story. We've talked about our story, the district story, the site story. That's something that's definitely needed here, because without a story, people make up the story. They're long in the tooth with experience. You see that by their bio. What should I do? Should I move? Just the different ways that you have to be out there talking about your district, talking about the site. This is all, yes, yes, yes. But this really struck me. What does their philosophy match what we want? And their philosophy is, we're unique. I like that, because other firms came in and told us that everybody's the same. We have the template of how to respond, we give it to you, and there you go. They know that every community is unique. See my notes there. They think listening is a lost art, and so they really want to teach us to be really good listeners. And they know that people support what they help create. It isn't Lisa in isolation, or a principal in isolation, or Erica in isolation. We need to work together and support what we create, and that's what we're doing. That's what we did in closed session. And it's that discussion and movement that makes it more powerful. We need to engage our community like that, and our staff. So we have to have a compelling story of what we're about, where we're going, raising student achievement, raising staff capacity. Then we have to have a call to action for everyone. A call to action by the superintendent, by every teacher, by every principal, by every custodian to serve our community and prepare our students. We need to have clarity and targets. This is the goal, this is where we're going, and our stakeholders need to be involved in that. And then we match the resources to what that plan is. And then there's strategic communication that goes with that to help build the momentum to move this forward. Okay? So what they did is they listened to me, they Googled the district, and then they brought us a case study of a district they're currently working with that they felt was similar to what we are. And that was the San Juancito Unified School District. So they brought us what they've done with them. Shared ownership creates results in cultural transformation. We lead through leadership teams, not just one person. We have to have strategic consistency, but yet be operationally flexible. Systems approach, a systems reset, a systems approach to change. I thought, it sounds like they listened and they read to what I had to share. Go on up. They felt that we had motivated leadership. I don't know about that next statement, but that we needed strategic communications to attract support. They wanted to focus on some special events and collateral and direct mail, because that's what we've done so far that since I've been here, but what other things could we do? So when they looked at the special event, they thought it needs to be focused and with a purpose. And this is a placemat.
And so you can have coffee with the superintendent, coffee with the principal, coffee with a board member, coffee with Jesus. And this is a placemat that focuses on, I mean, he takes care of all the procedures and policies, and parents are calling him all the time. I mean, what a great connect. This one focused on facilities, but we could put any pictures there. And then what are the key talking points? And then you sit down and you have that conversation. And then the parent or whoever it is can take the placemat with them. But it leads you're guiding them through the conversation that you're having by the placemat, and they take it with them. Again, focused on that these people will support what they help to create. So they want to help us with that, and that resonates with me. Those are the kinds of things that we want to do. They do mailers that talk about anything that we feel is important that we want to communicate. They've successfully done that. But the best part about the mailer is they said anything you send out should be an opportunity for something to come in. And so they have this tear off on any kind of mailer. There's this tear off, and it's self-addressed, and it comes right. It's postage is paid, and so people can tear it off and just put it right what they want and put it in the mail. I love that. Not just this one-way communication, even if it's a mailer. You're constantly inviting the feedback. Even if people don't mail it, they see that we want their input. They see that we're constantly seeking and asking, that we're open to it. That, I really liked that. Well, our LCAP is how many pages? 529? Okay.
Seems like that, but.
And the state is calling, and the ACLU, everyone is calling to make that comprehensible to our community. That's why the LCAP came forward, was because it was supposed to be a stakeholder engagement document. People were supposed to have say into it, drive it, our staff, our parents, our community. Well, then you're left with this very bureaucratic education ease document. That how do we then share that with our community? And they will make these infographics. And so they take each goal and they put, thank you, they make it easily seen and understandable, digestible. This is much easier to have a conversation around than that document.
Yeah.
And then this will be also in Spanish. The other piece they said is the process always needs to be asking who needs attention? Who needs attention? What should we be doing? How should we be focused? What are our current, again, the data, what are our current strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? We should be asking ourselves these questions all the time to make sure that we're addressing right here what is needed now, and to also be looking forward. But these are the ways that we'll make sure that where you see, have you noticed that the people support what they help create? That box has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger with different groups, because you want to move toward that. So that was how they pitched us. That was their way of saying, I think we're the right partner for you. It's, you know, people hear of a PR firm because we want to change our image. I want us to have a PR firm so that we engage with our community. I know that the best thing we can give our community is a student who is proficient. I know that, and that has to come, and that's first and foremost. We also need to make sure that the community is our partner in helping that to happen. And that is why we'll use this for recruitment of students, for recruitment of teachers, to help people know, here's the facts, here's the story about Hollister. Yep, we're here, and then we're going to move here, and we're moving here. So this is the company that we've chosen. So the contract. I asked for the Taj Mahal with a trailer price tag, and I got it. This usually what we ask for is $75,000 to $100,000 for a year-long engagement. And I told them we have $20,000. They
are incredibly motivated to work with us. They love the direction that we're going in and what we're doing. They see that our cabinet has already taken some major steps towards this communication piece. And I told them that if they're successful, I will present with them in December at CSBA. And they need a superintendent to get in to the CSBA presentation loop. But I will not present unless we're successful. We're going to measure our success by phases. So phase 1, there's deliverables, and they get a third of the payment. Phase 2, there's deliverables, and they get a third of the payment. Phase 3, there's deliverables, and they get a third of the payment. With those deliverables, there's very specific ways that we will know that we're successful. I don't have the detail of that, but that is the expectation of the contract.
To me, it's a public accountability measure as well, you know, because I know that, you know, we're going about all these things, you know, from each side, each principal, but it's all to help. You got to bring it to the light. You got to bring it out to know that, okay, now everybody knows this information. It's not just my own. It's not just between me and my superintendent. It's out there in the community. And what are we going to do to bring about some awesome change for our kids? And so I think the PR piece is what I think even the board was very interested in developing and reaching our community, because we've asked so much from our community in the measures of bonds and supporting us. So I think it's important that we demonstrate to them the accountability of their trust in our district and where we're moving and bringing them along in that process.
It's not just that, it's making sure that it gets to the community. That has been an issue. We rely on the newspaper for our telling our story and thinking and asking. Michelle has been very diligent in nagging people to make sure that the information gets out there. And maybe they have some way of knowing what is the best way to reach them.
Yeah, oh, they do. I mean, that's what they do.
That's what they
So
do.
the very first thing they're going to do is develop a strategic communication and community engagement plan with us. So because I can say, let's do a mailer on this, let's do a press release on this, let's do an infographic on that, but this is what should be on our website. But they know with all those different media, what are the things that should go on those different media instead of me putting them everywhere. So this is how, when someone pops to your website, what it should be. This is how, when you go out to do a community forum, these are the things to ask. This is how you should engage. If you're going to do a press release 3 times a year, here's the big 3 press releases that you want to have. We need that now. After we get that, we'll be able to replicate it ourselves. This is not going to be someone we're going to need year after year after year. You know, the goal is to build our capacity so that we get this rolling. How many of you saw our thank you to the voters of Measure M in the freelance? You see it? It was a half page, right? It was a half page in the freelance. So.
Actually, they had to run it twice.
Right.
The first run, I don't think was delivered to anyone, maybe a very few households. They told me that they sent out, they delivered 12,000 copies. And I said, I just want to think that out again, because I can't find anybody who got a copy.
Right.
And so Michelle was diligent, and she talked them into running it again last week.
It's a beautiful ad. It has
And
our
it's
students
better
in
placement.
there. Our students are there smiling, thinking that it's a nice sentiment. Michelle did a great job. You know, I want to thank our community for their trust in us. And I wonder how did my message get out there, you know?
Well, on one hand, I think it's an unusual expense, but on the other, we need the public more engaged in the Hollister School District. And absent, a daily newspaper, absent that a great deal of people still are on Facebook, whatever. But I do feel it is our responsibility to let the taxpayer know what we're doing, how we're doing, and asking for their feedback. So I think the price is very, very reasonable. One thing I'm going to differ on you is, I don't know that we ever would bring something like this in-house. I'd much rather outsource this.
Right, because of our time.
Right. I mean, to me, this will free up your time because, again, I'm going to say it. I want 90% of our time focused on the academics, and everything else to be 10% or whatever the correct ratio is. So, I'm going to support this.
Thanks.
I believe it's about buy-in. You can't get your community to really support what they don't know. And I know it's hard to engage your parents, to engage the community on understanding, especially the intricacies of what it means to run a school district, which that's not necessarily what you would be doing, but it PR from what at least get them to understand that we want them to be partners with us.
Yes.
We want to be successful, and it's going to take a community to come together and support what we're trying to do. And ultimately, I think it'll create a greater relationship with the community because of that. So I'm definitely supportive of it too.
Any other comments, questions?
Thank you.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'm sorry?
You said you were not moving to approve?
Yes.
Elsa said, Elsa motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is updating board policies. CSBA, when, I don't know, what, 2, 3, 4 times a year, they get together and go through their lawyers and their people that know regulations. They get together and update those policies, procedures that have changed, that we based ours on. And then Jesus integrates ours with theirs so that you've got the old versus the new. And we have the first reading. That means staff go to it and you go through the particulars and see how they apply to us and see if there's any changes that need to be made. Can I do these together?
Yeah, she knew it.
So both first readings?
Yep.
Okay, do anybody have any questions first? Okay. It's a good thing for insomnia, Rob?
Well, I am going to ask a question, and I think I already know the answer, but all of these items are to bring us into compliance with new laws.
Yes. Or old court cases?
Well, yeah,
That,
right. So, we don't, if I understand this correctly, we don't have a choice but to adopt these.
Well, I think so CSBA and their attorneys look at the new laws and then they write the policy.
Right.
And then there are times when they say you can either go A or B. And then you would say, as a board, we want to pick A or B. There are some times where there's options. Most of the time, you've got to have this in place because it's ed code or law. Sometimes where it says may, you may want to say shall. Where the language in the suggestion is more permissive, you may choose to make it very distinct. You can't go the other way, but you do have the option to do that.
doing this, I mean, the way we do it, and being consistently updating them as things change, I think keeps us safeguarded to ensure that we're, first of all, in compliance and we're following, the current law, so that we don't have any issues. And then for our parents as well, because, you're asking a very savvy parent that's asking about current ed code, about health or, something that's coming up and where is it in your board policy? There's nothing like having it there available online to reference or go to and have a clear explanation as far as where we are as a board and as a district, with those specific areas of concern for any parent or any community member. Not all districts do it like this, and it's unfortunate because, they just let them, and they don't even have them on their website. So it's like, okay, so how do you rule it? What are you basing it off of?
Right, no, I
And that's not a very, good place to be in a school district, or how to. Opens you up for litigation. Yeah, so I think, for the most part, this district has always done an amazing job of collaborating. If they come in for first readings and then sending it out to the appropriate departments to oversee and see what makes sense for our district, and being in compliance specific to us.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve board policies that are listed in 13C and 13D?
So moved.
Second. All of those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you. And now we have, coming to the end, the board member report. This is, things that our board members have been involved in with the community or for other, activities in relation to the school district. Peter, you want to start?
Happy New Year. Yeah, there really hasn't been much besides family events, so, yeah, I really don't have anything to report.
You went to intergovernmental.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. I got it, yes, I was invited to the intergovernmental meeting, by the mayor, and I showed up and what was the context of that conversation? Oh, John was presenting. He was presenting about the new, the possibility of a new co-op with the county on the library.
Enrollment.
Yeah, our enrollment, basically trying to strategize on what it means to work together, because I know we were talking about different opportunities and, and I know that actually, was it Supervisor Mantello had a concern about money's being spent. So it was a very, very engaging conversation, but yeah, it was really good. I mean, ultimately, it was all about trying to collaborate. So it was a good meeting. I appreciate being there.
You just enjoyed your holiday?
I did. I was also sick. I had a
tooth.
So, yeah, courtesy of the school district and a ride up with Lisa or Dr. Andrew, I got to attend the governor's budget workshop put on by one of the third parties. It was held at the Santa Clara Office of Education, and it's very confusing to me because California's economy is booming. We've increased our stature in the world, and the sixth largest economy in the world if we were a standalone entity. But and I'm further conflicted that the governor claims, and we as a state claim, that education is really important to us. But But the news that we got on the governor's budget is there's a lot of uncertainty, and for lack of a better term, they're monkeying around with our planning. So a particular concern is what they're using for COLA, cost of living adjustments, and more significantly, the amount that districts such as ours are going to be assessed in the future for pension, the CalPERS, California Pension Employee, whatever it is, PERS, and the state teacher retirement system, STRS. And it really is disturbing because it's making our ability to plan going forward very difficult. And I feel like we're back to the 2008, 2009, 10 time period where they're actually going to be taking away from us. So it's a concern, and just a concern. We'll get real numbers in May. You know, so none of this is new, but you know, all I see is the words cut, cut, cut. Whether all of that survives or not, I mean, you know, who knows? But they're not sending us a solid message, and there's very clear signs that they're just giving us numbers that sort of fit into what they want to give us for now. There's no real logic to what they're doing, so let's just hope that there's something better in May. I mean, Pat, am I missing something? Hey.
No.
She went with us.
You know, do you wear suspenders and a belt?
Yeah.
Or do you rely on the suspenders or the belt?
Yeah, so, anyway, other than that, of course, we had a special session on Saturday, which what I told Dr. Andrew this afternoon is, and I hope all of you are in agreement, I would like to see more of those, you know, concentrated on a issue or a couple of issues where we have some really good back and forth. That's it.
On Wednesday, Liz became a grandmother.
Yes. Yes. So very proud. Had our first grandson on the 15th of January, followed by our second grandson on the 16th of January. So one was a week late and one was a week early. So thankfully it wasn't on the same day because one was in Monterey, one was in San Jose. So that would have been really difficult. But we were both there for their arrival, and they, you know, I was telling Pat today, you know, you think your heart can't grow anymore until you see these babies, you know, your grandbabies. So it just, I'm in the grandma club now, so I'm like super excited. But as far as responsibilities for the board, I did do one of the music concerts at Rancho. That was amazing, you know, with Bill and Lisa, and that, you know, it was great to see the concert and the kids' development in our music program. I mean, they're knocking it out of the park. I can't wait till we start growing and doing some of the mariachis, you know, hopefully at HDLA, and, you know, we just start really growing that, because our kids, this community loves music, and it's evident in, you know, the years that we couldn't support it, you know, our community helped us. So it was amazing to see the kids and how they just bang out that music, man. So that, the KSPW, I went to that little piece when our kids also did their little portion there, music concert. And then, of course, our Saturday session, which, you know, I agree with Rob, focusing on specific concerns. I think as a board, independent from what we can't really sit down and do at a regular board meeting. We don't, we only schedule one a month. So I think having the time to really dedicate a focused topic or a couple, with, it's great to have staff there. Also, spending some time and giving your perspective was also very, very heartfelt, because that's important to get that perspective as well and your input. So that just, hopefully we, in the development of how we progress and move forward, I definitely like to continue seeing that.
I'd like to, I do want to call out Erica and Gabe and Dr. Andrew, giving up that Saturday afternoon. I know it's tough. I mean, I'm a dad and, I like doing things on the weekends or whatever, but just having that more of an informal conversation, it's invaluable to us being able to do, our job. And it really from the heart, it really was appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
I went to one of John's facilities planning meeting, and it was quite interesting to hear talking about what the classroom needs, and so we can update our major plan and try to standardize between the classrooms. And Betsy was there, and it was really interesting for me to hear what it was that works for you. I mean, my classrooms that I remember are a long time ago. I listened to a CSBA webcast regarding the governor's budget, and then they talked about other aspects, but essentially they said the same thing about the budget projection by the governor. Until I got to about an hour and a half, and then I felt they were preaching to the choir, so I thought, okay, no good. I also did continuing education with the council people, the court-appointed special advocates. Judge Sanders did a presentation on new and current legislation regarding foster kids. And the governor's budget workshop and the special board meeting and special ed meeting yesterday, which was very informative and I think very well done. The teachers were very knowledgeable and observant, and just I was very impressed. And then Thursday, we have I signed up for a headache. The workshop that the county is putting on regarding the Brown Act. Anybody else going?
I most likely will be, although I did not RSVP. I don't know if it's too late.
There's usually a place.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
A lot of people have an opportunity to get the headache before they go. So they don't go. It's not really exciting, but it's part of the job. And I guess that's about it.
That's it?
No, do we have items for future then?
Sure did.
Anybody else have one? Then we'll let Dr. Andrew. Anybody else have something that works on the agenda?
So, and again, if this is something that's on a cycle to be reviewed anyway, when we talk about a safe and positive school environment, the only thing that I see addressed here is suspensions. Mm-hmm. Are there any other
indicators?
When was the last time we visited our anti-bullying policy, things along those lines? I mean, on a school site by school site basis.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to create extra work, but if it's there.
I think what possibly a good report might be from our positive discipline committee, so you can hear about all the work that we're doing around that goal and how we're measuring. We're getting ready to send out a survey of how kids feel at school.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not creating more work, we have it. You just have to present it to you. Yeah.
So I know in the past, they had the Healthy Kids Survey, and I know we had talked about perhaps bringing that back internally so that we could, survey our students on those particular things that, concern them and are these key pieces of, do they feel connected? Do they feel safe? So I think, in developing something like that to then strengthen this group with that, getting them that information to kind of progress and see what our kids are telling us.
So our current survey is based off of our current survey to students is based off of the California Healthy Kids Survey.
Okay.
It's not all the questions, but there's a goodly amount of the questions to get a feel. But next year, we are going to do the California Healthy Kids Survey Suite. And that takes parents, students, and staff. And the great thing about doing the suite is, one, they do all the reporting for you and calculating for you and making of the report. But we can triangulate. And we can triangulate between the information we're getting between those three sources. We can disaggregate by subgroup, by school, by this, by that. It will give us a lot of really, really good data. And it's one of the local indicators that we have to have for the state accountability system. We have to do staff survey, parent survey, student survey. So if we have to do all three, we might as well get one that's researched, validated, and that we can use it interchangeably as well as separate. So we will be, and for the grants we're going to write to bring in more dollars, the California Healthy Kids Survey is a very recognized measurement tool that helps get grants awarded because they think that data is reliable.
And along those lines, I was just thinking, I know that a lot of principals get on the mics in the morning and talk to the students, and I know that for a fact some of us mentioned, keeping a positive attitude towards the day and lifting the students. I think that's really important as well.
Agreed. And part of our Capturing Kids' Hearts training that we're going to be doing in August is around all of those actions that happen daily and how the students should be treating students, how students treat teachers, how teachers treat students. But that's
even how family members treat each other. Because it starts there,
Right.
If you start with a good heart and you remind each other, people say, well, I know my mom loves me, or I know, she loves me. But just to say it again, or to, keep our heads up and a warm, kind word to even your own kids. Sometimes I guess people don't have time to say those things.
And
they're
so
in a hurry, getting them ready to get out the door.
Right, and so that's why it's important that no matter what, the adults at school need to be engaging with kids in that way. So that's coming in August. So all of these things are already in the works. They're already things that we're measuring and looking at. So it's just a matter of putting a presentation together. So other future agenda items. First, I want to say thanks to Gatlin Hills for leading us today and the bulletin board and all of your family and friends that were here. Thank you, Scott. Again, I'll be at the Brown Act workshop on Thursday night as well. So it sounds like Pat, possibly Rob. You're not going to join us? She knows.
I got a grandbaby.
Okay.
Is it at 6 o'clock at the county office?
I think so.
No, it's at San Andreas.
It's at San Juan. Okay, I will email it to you.
The alternative school.
Oh, Santa Ana. It's at Santa Ana.
San Andreas.
Oh, San Andreas. It's at the San Andreas continuation.
And also, I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
I would like to thank everybody that's here. And we wish you a good new year, even though it's later in January. And also to let you know that I turned 64 4 days ago. But I don't feel 64.
Okay, so February 4th is our special board meeting on data. and we will be looking at the various kinds of data that we currently have that you've been seeing monthly, and digging a little bit more deeply into how to read that data and use the data, the technical piece. But also what we learned from that data, what the systems were that put those strategies in place, led to the data, and what the systems are of where we need to go, because we've all said that the students need to achieve at a high rate, socially, emotionally, and academically. So where's that going? Principals will be joining us for that, so that they can speak more specifically to the strategies they've implemented at their sites or the strategies that they will be implementing. So looking forward to that on February 4th. Next board meeting, the Special Ed Task Force will be giving us their recommendations based on all these observations and research and our own data and the FICMAT report. So that'll be coming March 15th is around the corner, which means on the next board meeting, you will be looking at the March 15th notification that we will need to be giving to staff should there be a need for that. So that's coming at the next board meeting as well. And that's all of that.
Then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you guys all for coming too. Thanks, Michelle.
Good night.